News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
What effect will the Trump travel ban have on the University of Montana and MSU? Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Tuesday, January 31st, 2017. Right now, let me just address the big deal, which is the snow. It's been coming down. I got here about 3 o'clock this morning. It's been snowing pretty steadily since then, mostly light snow. We got about 2 inches on the ground just outside my patented exclusive weather window, sitting at 28 degrees. Roads are becoming very slick, especially in from Lolo into Missoula. My friend Billy, who lives out there, said it's just very, very slick. So please slow down, take your time getting where you need to go today. And we're just getting started. We're supposed to have anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow today and more tomorrow. And there is a winter storm warning until tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Snow will began falling last night, become moderate to heavy in some cases this morning. The heaviest snow is expected to develop east of Helena, west of Lookout Pass, south of Polson, and north of Hamilton. Therefore, in this area that comprises Missoula and surrounding valleys, anywhere from 5 to 9 inches of snow is expected by tomorrow morning. So, now you know. Okay, in the past few days, leadership at both Montana State University and the U of M have spoken publicly about President Trump's executive order placing a temporary ban on immigration from 7 countries. U of M interim President Sheila Stearns said the university community is asking for caution.
We want to make sure that however it is implemented, that it is thought through really carefully, and that if exceptions or rethinking of it needs to happen to make sure that the universities of this country are not deprived of great scholars who will, probably as a result perhaps leave us or be caught in a real bind, separated from their families, or third, may not come here in the first place and may go to universities in Canada and Australia and New Zealand and some other places that we compete with for top-rate talent.
It's not common that the UM president speaks publicly about national politics. Stearns says political correctness is not the motive behind her message.
I know there are those who might think, is this just the university being politically correct? And I would like to say, no, what it really is the university looking out for its own, for our scholars and students, and we have lots of international students, some from those countries, and they've already been vetted, and we want them to feel safe as scholars, including, pursuing their projects out of country when they need to.
Stearns says as far as she knows, no faculty or students at UM have been delayed or kept from continuing their work at the school. Cities and towns around the country, including Missoula, are being flooded with reaction to President Trump's temporary travel ban from certain countries. Betsy Mulligan-Daig, director of the Jeanette Rankin Peace Center and the Olive Branch in Missoula, said the order was suspicious in one certain aspect.
It looks suspiciously like religious profiling, particularly when, you look at maybe favoring Christian refugees over Muslim refugees, looking at countries that are predominantly Muslim.
Mulligan-Daig finds small comfort in the fact that the ban is temporary.
It didn't keep us out of World War II. It's not a way to necessarily keep us safe. Compassion, understanding, and building bridges with people in other countries is a way to keep us safe and make friends around the world.
Mulligan-Daig said there have been marches in one form or another in Missoula nearly every Sunday since Trump's election in November. A registered violent offender has pleaded guilty to a federal charge of transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. Federal prosecutors say 60-year-old Rodney Lezon entered his plea on U.S. District Court in Missoula on January 17th. He faces a mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison when he's sentenced May 18th. Prosecutors say Zahn befriended a developmentally delayed 16-year-old girl and her family and left Sheridan with the girl early August 3rd. They were located the next day in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Zahn was arrested. Prosecutors say Zahn admitted he had sex with the girl twice and he knew she was underage. Only 2 people have expressed interest so far in replacing Montana's Commissioner of Political Practices by filing applications by last week's deadline. Bozeman Daily Chronicle reports that Jonathan Modell's term as commissioner expired January 1st, but he's still serving while the Montana Supreme Court considers a lawsuit that aims to keep him in office. Michael Larson of Billings submitted his application to be the state's new campaign watchdog last week. The other applicant is Jamie McNaughton of Helena. He's been the chief legal counsel to the commissioner since 2013. Missoula police were busy Saturday trying to track down 2 burglary suspects and another robber. according to Police Public Information Officer Travis Welsh. The first burglary occurred around 5:30 in the morning when employees at a business on Front said they had difficulty accessing a room in the building. Police say the room was apparently blocked by a man named Cole Luza.
According to employees, he had been discovered in the basement in an employee-only room where he had attempted to keep actual employees from entering until they were able to force the door, and they found him in the room itself. They could see that he had moved some things around in the room as if he might have been searching.
Then at 10:30, police were also called to another burglary at an auto dealership on 93 South.
It was reported that employees had discovered what appeared to be forced entry into the business, and they did in fact notice that some things were missing, including vehicles and other items that were kept in the business. Suspect was identified using surveillance video. He is identified as 40-year-old Aragorn Jake Berger.
Then just before 7 that evening, another call came in from a business on North Reserve where a female store clerk claimed a man had just committed a robbery.
Employee did not report that he produced a weapon, did not see a weapon. However, she did turn over an undisclosed amount of cash to the male who then left. He was apprehended. He had gone to a nearby business and was captured on surveillance video and matched the description of the original complainant.
Police identified the robbery suspect as 40-year-old Stephen Holland Jr., who was taken into custody early Sunday morning. And on Friday, the Montana Shooting Sports Association, if you remember, as we reported, filed a complaint with the Montana Office of Disciplinary Counsel, stating that a New York City attorney allegedly provided legal advice to the city council without being licensed to practice in the state. On Monday, Missoula City Attorney Jim Nugent called the charge a non-issue.
People can talk to council members, and the city hasn't hired any out-of-state attorney on the firearms ordinance, so we haven't hired and paid anyone for legal advice, and anyone can talk to a legislative person, whether it's the council or the state legislature or Congress.
Nugent went so far as to bring up the term lobbying.
And if it went so far as they be lobbying, you don't have to be an attorney to lobby someone who's in the legislative body, whether it's the city council, the state legislature, or Congress. So it sounds like a non-issue to me.
MSSA President Gary Marbut has forwarded his complaint to the Montana Department of Justice's Office of Consumer Protection. Montana Attorney General Tim Fox last week issued an opinion that the city has no authority to regulate gun registration. Our News Talk time, 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
A winter storm warning has been issued for the Missoula Valley now through 5 a.m. Wednesday. Today we'll see anywhere between 3 to 6 inches of snowfall with an additional 1 to 3 inches of snow in the forecast Tuesday night. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.